The phone rings late at night, and you answer without thinking, because nothing feels wrong yet. A calm voice asks a strange question, and your heart slows down, but your mind stays alert. Something feels off, even before fear arrives. Ghostface is not a monster hiding in shadows. There is no magic, no curse, and no warning signs, just a voice and a mask, and perfect timing. That is what makes this fear different. The caller already knows where you are. They already know you are alone, but you do not know who they are. This is not a random threat. This is a game that has already started. Every word pulls you deeper inside it. Every second feels slower than the last. And the scariest part is not what happens next. It is realizing how much control the caller already has. Stay here, because what Ghostface does next is why fear turns into obsession. Ghostface is not a monster from another world, and there are no powers behind the mask. With no magic, no immortality, and no possession involved, this killer is human, and that truth is what makes the fear feel real. Because humans exist everywhere, and they blend in easily. Because Ghostface is human, the danger feels close, as it could be a neighbor, a classmate, a friend, or someone you trust. The mask hides an ordinary face, which means anyone around you could be wearing it later. History proves this, because the killers are always close, never strangers hiding far away. In 1996, the killer was a boyfriend and a friend, people who felt safe. In 2011, the mask was worn by family, someone meant to protect you. In 2023, it was the police themselves, the ones meant to stop the murders. That pattern makes every interaction feel dangerous. Supernatural killers feel scary, but they feel unreal because they belong to fantasy. Ghostface feels real because it could actually happen with a knife, a plan, and patience. But being human also creates a weakness. Ghostface can bleed, panic, and make mistakes. And one flaw always appears in the end. They need recognition, and that need always exposes them. This creates the perfect balance of fear and fascination. Ghostface is terrifying because they could be anyone, and fascinating because they are never unstoppable. That humanity is what makes Ghostface unforgettable. But fear alone is not what defines this killer. What comes next is the method that turns fear into control. Ghostface does not attack without preparation because every move begins long before the first scream. Victims are studied for days or weeks, while routines are tracked and habits are memorized. Work hours, home patterns, and quiet moments are all noted in advance. By the time the attack begins, the victim is already known. That creates fear, because being watched without knowing removes all safety. Daily life continues, but someone else is learning it silently. When the call comes, it feels sudden, but it is not. Everything was planned before that moment. In the first film, the killers knew exact schedules and empty houses. In later attacks, they knew room layouts, doors, and escape paths. Nothing happens by accident. Ghostface hunts like a predator, not a gambler. Traps are set, not chases started. Once fear appears, the exit is already blocked. This planning shows intelligence and patience, but it also reveals obsession. Ghostface wants control, not chaos. They want the perfect setup, not a quick strike. That obsession makes the method effective. And that same obsession creates emotional attachment. Emotion leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to mistakes. The stalking defeats victims early, but it also plants the seeds of failure. Because preparation turns fear into power. And power always invites ego. The hunt is only the beginning. The real weapon is what comes next. The phone call that turns control into terror. The phone call is the most famous part of Ghostface, but it is not just creepy talk or jokes. It is a planned psychological attack. Every word is chosen for control. Every pause is timed for pressure. The fear starts before the killer moves. When the phone rings, the victim is already isolated. While listening, they are not calling for help. Their focus locks onto the voice. Escape fades from their thoughts. That is the first trap. The call distracts, keeping the victim engaged. It confirms location, proving the killer is close. It breaks calm, forcing panic to take over. Panic slows thinking and weakens decisions. Ghostface knows fear works best this way. The questions sound playful but feel threatening. The brain freezes, trying to answer and survive. By the time danger feels real, time is gone. Here is the hidden flaw. The call is not necessary. Ghostface could attack silently instead, but they choose to talk first. They want interaction and control. They want the victim to listen. That need reveals ego. Talking creates fear, but also delay. Delay gives victims time to think. Thinking leads to resistance. The voice controls fear, but the voice also creates opportunity. This weapon is powerful, and it is dangerous to the killer, because the call opens the door to survival, and Ghostface always underestimates that. The Ghostface mask is instantly recognizable. It feels unsettling the moment you see it. It is not burned or damaged. It is not blank or silent. It looks like a scream frozen in fear, and yet it moves toward you. That creates fear, because the mask removes humanity. You are not facing a person anymore. You are facing death without emotion. There are no eyes to read, no face to reason with, no mercy to negotiate for. The mask serves two clear purposes. It hides identity, keeping the killer unknown. It attacks the mind, turning fear into a visual threat. That scream makes fear feel alive, and it works, no matter who wears it. Anyone can put on the mask, and instantly, Ghostface exists again. Facing a person gives hope. Facing the mask gives none. It feels like staring into a void. But here is the quiet truth. The mask also hides insecurity. The killer does not want to be seen. They need the mask to act. Without it, they are just ordinary people. That creates fascination because fear is built on disguise. The terror comes from the costume, not from invincibility. The mask makes Ghostface powerful, but it also exposes dependence. Fear wears the mask. Weakness hides behind it, and the illusion cannot last forever. Because the mask is silent, but something else gives Ghostface a voice, and that voice makes the fear universal. The voice is as important as the mask. It sounds distorted, calm, and threatening. You cannot tell if it is male or female. You cannot tell how old the caller is. That uncertainty turns everyone into a suspect. The voice removes identity completely. You cannot recognize a friend. You cannot rule out family. Anyone nearby could be calling you. That creates fear, because clues disappear. The threat becomes faceless and endless. One man, Roger L. Jackson, voiced Ghostface every time. From 1996 to 2023, the voice never changed, yet he was never on set. Actors heard the voice live on real phones. Their reactions were genuine. They were actually unsettled. Imagine receiving a call like that. You cannot tell if it is a joke. You cannot tell if it is someone you know. That doubt freezes the mind. Ghostface uses that paralysis perfectly. But here's the hidden detail. The killer does not trust their own voice. They need technology to sound powerful. That suggests insecurity beneath control. Still, the voice creates one identity. Different killers, same presence. Roger L. Jackson became Ghostface itself. Fear spreads because the voice feels everywhere. But tools are only tools. The next weapon decides who survives. Location, where escape becomes impossible. Ghostface never attacks in busy public places because crowds reduce control and attention brings help. Every attack happens in isolated locations where time works against the victim and help cannot arrive fast. Empty houses, quiet homes, and locked buildings become the chosen stages. By the time the danger feels real, escape is already limited. That creates fear because the environment turns hostile. Doors are blocked, windows are known, and routes are planned ahead of time. You are not only fighting a killer, you are fighting the space around you. In early attacks, the final moments happen far from neighbors and far from noise. In later cases, the fight moves to abandoned buildings with sealed exits. Ghostface controls where the hunt ends. This gives power, because the battlefield favors the killer. Your own home should feel safe, but Ghostface studied it before you noticed anything wrong. Hiding spots, dead ends, and weak locks are already known. Your advantage becomes their weapon. But here is the hidden limit. Ghostface needs isolation to succeed. They cannot operate under public pressure. That need creates patterns. Patterns can be learned. Smart survivors notice where Ghostface strikes. They prepare because predictability invites resistance. The locations feel hopeless, but consistency creates opportunity. The kill zone is powerful, and it is also a clue. Everything is planned. Everything is controlled. So why does Ghostface still fail? Because control feeds a flaw they cannot resist. Here is the central paradox of Ghostface. The planning is precise and ruthless. The execution is calm and controlled. By logic, this killer should never lose. Yet every Ghostface is exposed or killed. Every single one fails in the end. That creates fear, because the intelligence is real. Stalking, timing, and setup are flawless. But fascination comes from what follows. Ghostface needs recognition more than escape. They do not just want death. They want credit for the fear they created. This pattern repeats every time. In the first case, the killers stop to explain. That delay gives the victim time. Later, killers repeat the same mistake. They talk, justify, and reveal themselves. Each reveal breaks the plan. Each speech hands control back to the victim. Think of it like a winning game. The move is ready to end it. But ego demands applause first. That pause changes everything. This flaw feels familiar. People ruin success by chasing praise. Ghostface is human, and humans crave validation. That need turns brilliance into failure. Fear lasts for most of the hunt. Hope appears in the final moments. We wait for the mistake, and it always comes. This weakness defines Ghostface. It ends every reign of terror. And next, we see how it happened the first time. Every Ghostface follows the same pattern in the end. The plan is perfect from the start. The attack works exactly as intended. The victim is trapped and helpless. Then the mask comes off, and everything starts to fall apart. This moment should be the most dangerous. You finally see who hunted you. The fear should peak right here. But instead, something strange happens. The killer begins to explain. They talk about motives and reasons. They want the victim to understand. That need changes the outcome. In the first case, the killers stop to brag. That pause gives time to react. In later cases, the same mistake repeats. The killers describe every detail. While they talk, victims regroup. That delay becomes an opening. Think of it like finishing a task. The job is almost done, but pride demands attention first, and focus is lost. This behavior reveals the truth. Ghostface wants recognition, not silence. They want their story heard. A kill without an audience feels empty. That craving overrides discipline. Fear comes from betrayal. Fascination comes from understanding the urge. We feel horror and empathy together. They know this mistake ends them. They still make it every time. Because Ghostface is not built to win. Ghostface exists to perform. Ghostface is different from other killers. They are not trying to be fast or efficient. They are trying to recreate horror movies. Every Ghostface is a horror fan first. That creates fear, because logic stops mattering. Movie rules replace real strategy. Shock moments become more important than safety. In early cases, killers quote horror rules out loud. Later, killers chase fame and attention. Some want to fix bad movies through murder. Others build shrines and reenact scenes. The killings become performances. Think of it like playing a game. Winning matters, but style matters more. Showing off risks losing. Ghostface accepts that risk. This obsession creates fascination. They are critics with weapons. They judge stories while creating violence. Fear grows because actions feel unpredictable. Fascination grows because motives feel human. They want to be remembered. That need overrides survival. Performance beats victory every time. And that is why the pattern repeats. Because the story always matters more than the ending. Scream 7 is already in production. That means the mask will return again. New killers will wear it. The cycle will repeat once more. Ghostface never dies, because the mask is not one person. Anyone can become Ghostface. Every film brings new motives, but the method stays the same. 6 films across 27 years proved it. Many killers tried and failed, yet the idea survived every time. Ghostface works like a virus. You stop one, another appears. As long as obsession exists, someone will try again. We know how it ends. We still watch, because the hunt matters. Fear returns with every mask. Fascination stays, because failure is guaranteed. That is why Ghostface never truly dies. Ghostface works because fear and fascination exist together. Fear comes from planning, stalking, and control. The calls, the mask, and the locations show intelligence. Everything feels precise and unstoppable. But fascination comes from the weakness underneath. Ghostface is human, not immortal or supernatural. They need recognition more than escape. That need destroys every perfect plan. You thought the mask and knife were the terror. The real terror is an ordinary person using fear like science. And the real twist is that ego always ruins brilliance. Every call traps the mind. Every mask removes humanity. Every reveal exposes someone you trusted. Every monologue gives time to fight back. The defeat proves one truth: intelligence without discipline always fails. We asked why Ghostface feels unforgettable. Now you know the answer. Fear feels real because it could be anyone. Fascination lasts because ego guarantees the fall. That balance makes Ghostface eternal. Ghostface stays unforgettable because fear feels human. If this story changed how you see Ghostface, like this video to support deep storytelling. Subscribe now for psychology behind iconic characters. Share this with any horror fan who loves Scream. And now, leave a comment with this question. If you planned the perfect crime and knew you would win, could you stay silent? Or would you need the world to know?